Hi, I'm Lady Genevieve. If you're not new here, you know I promised I would be doing more Bridgerton Season 2 videos because I have a lot to say about these characters and their stories. I posted a poll on my community tab for viewers to vote on which topic I would be doing first. I have seen the feedback I have received thus far, but what ended up happening was I started rewatching each episode and writing detailed notes about the material and transcribing certain quotes so I would be able to have a full list of what I would want to use to put my points together. And then I realized that some of the points under the umbrella of the topics I am still planning to do were becoming large enough to just be their own video. I don't want to make a 2 or 3 hour long video about Bridgerton Season 2. It would be exhausting to make. It would be exhausting for you to watch. So we're just going to go through the material of this season bit by bit together. And to be honest, it's better that I gradually work through everything I want to talk about because we're all going to have to wait for what? A year and a half for season 3. This way we can fill the time together because we're about to go into a content drought.
Why you want to leave me?
I'm not leaving you. Don't you want me to do something with my life?
Oh, yes. Get married, make babies.
That's what happens when you do the Netflix model of just dropping all of the episodes at once instead of releasing them on a weekly basis. That brings us to the topic of today's video, which you may have already deduced from the title of the video. One of the recurring things in Bridgerton Season 2, besides Kate and Anthony almost kissing repeatedly, is a select group of characters being able to clock Kate and Anthony's true feelings, largely because of the way that they look at each other. We have Daphne, Violet, Lady Danbury, and eventually Edwina. This topic was originally going to be one of the talking points in a larger video covering Edwina's character arc and Edwina and Kate's relationship on the show. But again, it's more manageable to talk about Bridgerton Season 2 if I just section things off into their own videos, and all of you who want to hear me talk about the show and the material will have more videos coming out steadily while we enter the content drought that happens between each season. To understand why these women can see the love between Kate and Anthony and others cannot, there is something very important you have to understand about the Regency setting, and in particular the socio-economic tier where most of the Bridgerton characters who participate in the Ton come from. Although Bridgerton is a romance series and has an element of fantasy by throwing the truths of historical racism out the window in order to allow for more ethnic diversity to participate in the romance and entertainment of the show, the world building of Bridgerton has more than once made it very clear that the default approach to marriage is that it is an economic transaction.
Most marriages of the Ton are, in fact, mere matters of business, my dear. Matters that have been working for centuries. It is the true love match that is quite rare.
It's easy to watch Bridgerton and fall into the fantasy of epic romances happening in a world that is largely free from racism, but it is not free from the intersection of capitalism and systemic misogyny. The women in this world cannot survive without having some sort of attachment to a man.
The Marquis of Ashdown. A little young, to be sure, but he has 10,000 a year.
The women of the Ton are on the hunt, literally, for husbands to provide financial security. A lot of you who are new to my channel don't know that I am no stranger to bringing out Maslow's hierarchy of needs if I feel that it's relevant to the topic of conversation. If you are unfamiliar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the TLDR is that you work your way up this hierarchy. If the first levels of it are not met, you cannot even begin to think about trying to fulfill those needs that are higher up in this hierarchy. Most of the people in the Ton need to use marriage as a way of securing the bag and having their most basic needs met, those being physiological, like food, water, shelter, warmth, and their safety needs so they have security in life. A lot of the drama in the show's narrative is focused on the emotional drama within 2 main characters of each season falling in love. The show is sold and consumed with an emphasis on romance, and we love that, but the economic anxiety that I've repeatedly mentioned in many of my Bridgerton Season 2 reviews is crucial crucial to understanding the world of Bridgerton and the motivations of a lot of the characters in it. That's why the Featheringtons have to let this strange man that they don't know come up into their house. When the patriarch of the family passed away, the financial responsibilities passed on to a male heir that they don't know instead of the matriarch of that family unit. When Antony's father died, he had to move into the master bedroom of the family home because he was now being treated as being in charge of the family. Although the Bridgerton universe may have liberated itself from systemic racism, they have yet to do the same for a patriarchal economic infrastructure. Because of the fact that many people have or do marry without having that romantic love be part of the equation, a lot of the people in this universe will have never felt the type of epic, deep, romantic love that we get to see play out between whomever the two leads of each season are. Who are the main characters we see that are able to recognize the connection between Kate and Antony? Daphne, Violet, and Lady Danbury. All of these women have experienced love, so let's go through the evidence. Daphne was our main girl of season 1. The show blew up in popularity following her love story with Simon. We don't need to unpack every single detail of what happened in her love story with Simon. The ratings and the multi-season renewal for the show, all of that speaks for itself. Daphne returns in season 2 largely to serve as a mentor to Antony, because even though he is the older brother, the patriarch of the Bridgerton name, she knows more than him when it comes to matters of the heart. The first time Daphne meets Kate, it's when the Sharmas have come to visit Aubrey Hall. Antony makes a beeline for Kate. Daphne not only sees that, she sees the vibes. Daphne knows that flow is flow.
Flow is flow.
And so we have a cute little mishap of mistaken identity.
And you must be Miss Edwina.
No. This is her sister, Miss Kate Sharma.
And all throughout the visit, Daphne is clocking the connection that these two have. They make a point of editing in her picking up on how well Kate fits into this family of feral sports people much more than Edwina does.
Why waste a turn if the point is to get one's own ball through the wicket?
To infuriate your opponent, I gather.
Precisely.
You have the chance to best him.
Well, not be very sportsmanlike, now would it?
It is a poor player who plays the game and a wise one who plays their opponent.
I believe I should rather enjoy this game. I was told unsportsmanlike conduct was a requirement for this game.
Fast learner you are indeed, Miss Sharma. It is all going well, then?
Extremely.
And did Miss Edwina mention Pall Mall? Should not appear to be having much fun.
Daphne also gives Antony multiple advisory monologues about what love really is, what love feels like, and that stems from her knowledge and experience of falling in love and knowing how much more fulfilling her life and her marriage are since she gets to have romantic love be a part of that.
If you say she is the one in whose presence you cannot properly think or even breathe.
All I find myself being able to breathe for is you.
If you say you feel that feeling.
Feeling? What?
The one that makes it impossible for you to look away from them at any given moment. When your body and soul feel as if they could burst into flames whenever the two of you are near. When all you are able to do in their presence is to fight the urge to lean forward and touch their lips with yours. If that is the feeling you have when you are with Miss Edwina, I am quite happy for you indeed.
We also have Violet Bridgerton, Antony's mother and the matriarch of the Bridgerton family. Like Daphne, she easily spots Antony's attraction to Kate, and we are repeatedly reminded of how deeply she loved her husband Edmund. Her intense grief from losing him left a profound impact on Antony and further catalyzed his being emotionally closed off from love, along with the rapid adultification he underwent as a boy being thrust into the role of family patriarch. Violet has her own speeches to make about how important romantic love is and the fact that Antony should not close himself off to it.
Just because you are dedicated to this family does not mean that there should be no room left for love, Antony.
The dramatic weight of Violet's conversations with Antony about love hit harder because she has to also confront the guilt of realizing that her honest human reaction to the loss of her husband traumatized her son to the point of putting up all of these emotional walls.
You were barely even there after he died.
Edmund was the air that I breathed. Now there is no air.
And yet I myself am cursed to remember every waking moment.
What I found interesting, though, was the choice to have Violet push Daphne to confirm the suspicions she had about the attraction between Antony and Kate.
You know something?
I do not.
Daphne, you may be a duchess, but you are still my daughter. Tell me what you know.
I would guess that this is stemming from the fact that Daphne was able to see them up close and personal during the game of Pall Mall, and she also walked in on them when they were about to kiss.
Oh. I'm so sorry.
Daphne.
But even if Violet needed Daphne's confirmation, she does admit to Lady Danbury that she always suspected Antony's attraction to Kate.
Daphne has, she has finally confirmed something I have been fearing for quite some time. Something I believe you too have observed, no doubt.
Lady Danbury is another figure who is repeatedly shown to see and recognize the attraction between Kate and Antony. Obviously, we know the smelling incident is the most funny example of that. But she had already been able to see that they were attracted to each other long before that. And even though we have not seen her get her own season to fall in love, like Daphne, or even some flashback scenes like Violet, we do get an explicit confirmation that Lady Danbury has been in love before.
I am a widow. I have loved. I have lost.
Throughout the season, Daphne and Violet keep trying to convince Antony to stop pursuing the relationship with Edwina because he does not feel that type of deep romantic love for her. There's never anything disparaging said about Edwina. They often emphasize how she's sweet, she's pleasant, she's agreeable.
Miss Edwina, she is lovely. I'm certain she will make a perfect wife.
Do you still not like her?
I never said I did not like her.
But Antony is their family. He's the big brother or the firstborn son, and that level of familial emotional intimacy necessitates that they encourage him to follow his heart and get married to the woman that he loves.
I question the example you are setting your siblings, marrying a woman for whom you clearly hold no great tenderness or love.
Lady Danbury, on the other hand, is often shown throughout the season to be encouraging Kate to be honest with her family because she knows that the secrets Kate is keeping are bound to come out sooner or later.
I do not know what to do.
There is only one thing to do. Be honest with your sister, with yourself. You must tell her how you feel.
But once Antony and Edwina are further along in their relationship, Lady Danbury also discourages Kate from allowing her romantic attraction to Antony to cause a mess to that relationship.
Only a very great scandal would prevent this marriage from proceeding now.
This does not mean that Lady Danbury is not a romantic or that she is inherently opposed to romantic love, but she's not actually a member of the Sharma family. She is sponsoring them in order to try to help them find a good match during the competitive Ton season. And she knows that they're already in a financial predicament and they need to secure the bag for their survival.
And why, when you are so close to getting what you want, what you need for your family's survival, the kind of scandal that would send alarms through the entire Ton, and what Edwina so clearly wants for herself, are you getting in the way? And be a stain from which the penniless Sharma family would never recover.
Antony has his male gender and financial privilege to be a safety net if things don't work out with this specific courtship with Edwina. The Sharma women are not guaranteed those luxuries. Those three women are really the main observers of the Kate and Antony love connection until they really start to put themselves out there. So I figured we would quickly go through a couple of other characters and what they see or what they don't see. At the lake scene, or before the lake incident anyway, there is a shot of Penelope seemingly observing Antony's very unsubtle attraction to Kate. And I think this is a deliberate choice because Penelope is already very obviously down bad for Colin, though he's done absolutely nothing to deserve her affections at this particular point in time, but we don't need to go on that tangent. The point is that she's already crossed that line, emotionally and psychologically, of being deeply in love with someone, so she is more likely to be able to see it when others cannot. It also probably helps that as Lady Whistledown, she tends to be very observant about what's going on around her, especially when it's something people are not supposed to be doing, according to these social norms of the hypercritical Ton culture and the broader Regency setting. I briefly wondered if Colin had some idea, since he knocked Kate's ball into the forest after Antony's ball and goaded the two of them into going off alone, unchaperoned, to retrieve them.
What a shame. You two better go fetch them, unless you would like to quit here and now.
Absolutely not.
But I'm honestly more inclined to believe that that was mostly just his way of messing with Antony, which was a very funny sibling thing to do. It's similar to the way Benedict was consistently shown as having the time of his life watching Kate roast Antony.
Why would you assume I had any trouble managing at all, my lord?
I only mean to say... Ladies do not hunt.
Do not or are not allowed to.
In general, Benedict was always shown to be having fun when Kate was being a tough, no-nonsense woman, and honestly, Benedict admiring women with bold personalities really does it for me.
You cannot fault the sunshine. No, it's certainly not.
The men out enjoying the sunshine, the sign of a great hunt.
And I need to cut myself off, or else I'm going to end up on an endless tangent about how great Benedict is, and then we will never finish the main point of this video, which is exploring the ins and outs of who can and cannot see Kate and Antony's attraction to each other, especially earlier on in the timeline of their relationship. When we fast forward to Antony and Edwina's wedding day, and more specifically, the commotion that happens after Edwina runs away from the altar, the only one in the Bridgerton family who absolutely knows why the wedding has not happened is Daphne.
Precisely.
But then also, Violet has a strong suspicion.
You know something.
I do not.
Daphne, you may be a duchess, but you are still my daughter. Tell me what you know.
The other Bridgerton siblings have absolutely no idea of the real reason why.
Miss Edwina is merely agitated. She will come to her senses.
Miss Edwina does seem to have a delicate constitution. Perhaps some fresh air will be just the thing.
Flask.
Perhaps the Archbishop's talk of lifelong covenants overwhelmed her. Perhaps Miss Edwina realised that marriage is in fact a prison for women.
Oh, must you always be so... you?
How else should I be? Married and silent.
I also really enjoyed the baby Bridgertons being even more clueless and wholesome about the entire ordeal that is going on.
Perhaps she decided she must change into a different dress.
That is absurd. She looked beautiful.
Colin not knowing makes perfect sense. We've already established he is not very bright when it comes to romantic love.
You are pen. You do not count. You're my friend.
Eloise has a strong aversion to the entire Ton culture, and she has this adorable flirtation going with Theo, but it's far too early to call what they have love, so she doesn't know. Also, she doesn't even go and tell Theo that she thinks of him until after this scene anyway, so the timing lines up.
I set them aside for you.
As for Benedict, well, we know he's a huge romantic.
To honour her being with your deeds and words.
Benedict has all of the capacity for romantic love, but he just hasn't found his person yet to really inspire him to feel all of those things we know he's capable of. I bet you he's going to be the most romantic of all of his siblings, but again, we're not doing a Benedict video today, or else this video will be 2 hours long.
All right, this is it, people. Let's move. Let's go, 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 go.
The lore of the Bridgerton universe consistently shows that those who have truly experienced romantic love have the more discerning eye when it comes to spotting others who are currently experiencing those feelings. This also aligns with Marina's ability to recognize Penelope's feelings for Colin. I almost forgot to include this detail since the main focus of this video is more so about those who can see Kate and Anthony's romantic attraction to each other, but there really isn't a better opportunity to mention this detail once I will begin outlining my other video topics about Bridgerton Season 2. Like Lady Danbury, Marina has loved and lost, and now she is the only one able to knock a little bit of sense into Colin's head.
If you would simply open your eyes to what is in front of you, then you might see there are those in your life you already make happy.
And who would that be?
You have your family. You have Penelope.
Penelope?
Now that you're old enough, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, and I think you're ready to hear it. You're not very pretty, and you're not very bright.
Finally, we come to Edwina, and we also need to talk a bit about Mary. We know for a fact that Mary deeply loved Kate and Edwina's father. For as little screen time as she's given, what we do see of her clearly emphasizes this point.
From the very first moment, your father and I were drawn together. It is a very powerful thing to meet someone and feel that you know them in a way unlike any other.
That love she had for Papa Sharma was the reason why she was willing to run away from her parents and this entire toxic world of the Ton. This is a culture that is extremely classist and viciously judgmental if you defy their social rules.
I can't believe she would show her face here again.
Scandal, Mama. Lady Mary was the incomparable of our season, till she fell in love with and married some kind of clerk, I hear. The two of them absconded to India thereafter.
A Maharaja I would have understood, but the man was no more than a common worker who already had a child.
That must be her, the older one.
But she defied them anyway because of the love that she had for Mr. Sharma and for Kate, whom he already had from a previous marriage.
I loved you from the day I met you. Oh, love is not something that is ever owed.
If we follow the rules the show established with who can see Kate and Anthony's attraction to each other and why, realistically Mary should have been able to watch this and see what was going on. I've rewatched this season multiple times, so in a you can see it if you squint sort of way, I can kind of figure out the show's justification for her not knowing. She is nervous about being back in the Ton because of everything that happened before, and everything she knows is likely to happen again, with the vicious gossips that will undoubtedly run their mouths about her and her daughters returning.
Mama is doing that thing she always does when she is worried. The gossip she endured after marrying Appa had to have been unbearable.
The reason can make sense, but I'm not a huge fan of the execution. I still firmly believe that we should have seen more of Mary. Let us see her struggling under the weight of how vicious this world is, but also forming this new friendship with Violet Bridgerton. They did not have nearly enough scenes together. I also think that if we had gotten to see more of Mary trying her best to deal with this world and the backlash against what all of these people believe was a bad match, even though we all know that it was a great match, it would have better informed the audience of why Kate was trying so hard to set Edwina and Anthony up for as many episodes as she was. I also think that the Featherington family plot ate up too much airtime conveying this admittedly important world-building detail of how hard it is for women to survive when financial autonomy is largely or entirely granted to men, when we could have easily, preferably, spent that airtime showing flashback scenes of Kate struggling to manage the finances of the family after their father died.
My husband died. It should have been me taking on my family's burden, not Kate. She sacrificed far too much for us, indeed.
It is not right that you were left to guide Edwina alone. That was my failing.
You were grieving Appa.
But so were you.
I feel like I've seen a lot of comments from people who don't understand why Kate was trying as hard as she was to get Edwina married off to a wealthy English nobleman. I could understand it because I rewatched the episodes multiple times and took copious notes on them. And I've also been extremely analytical about the material because I've been writing all of these videos about the show. But there's no question that you could have made this information easier for the audience to understand if you had given Kate the flashback scenes in which she would financially actually struggle and choose to put that weight on herself instead of dumping all of the necessary exposition into dialogue. I'm not opposed to her sharing information verbally. I'm just saying, why couldn't we have a bit of both? This brings us to Edwina, who is largely comically oblivious about Kate and Antony's attraction to one another for several episodes of this season.
Just because of you. You hate one another.
That is not correct.
What I need is your help getting him to fall in love with you.
But eventually, as we all saw, she eventually realized that these two had all of the feelings. Love, passion. So what facilitates this change? The lifted veil, as it were. Well, I found two main reasons to explain this. One point is that Edwina's story is a coming-of-age one. She's experiencing that growth from girlhood into womanhood. She's very sweet, kind, we know all of that, but she's also innocent and naive. She's been sheltered, especially by Kate.
I thought I was doing the right thing by keeping you free from this burden, but you must know, it has weighed on me every day.
Edwina is aware of marriage being economically driven and an economic necessity, but she didn't know the depths of how important her match was because Kate had kept that information from both her and Mary. But she also is inexperienced in matters of love and romance. I know some people have taken her verbal declaration of love for Antony very literally. I, however, do not. That read to me as a young girl who thinks she's in love, but at most, it's a crush. Antony and Edwina are a good match on paper, but they don't have any sort of real romantic connection to one another from either side of that. When Edwina is saying why she wants Antony, a lot of her reasons given are economic ones.
He is the one I want, Kate. The Viscount. His family, this home, the life he offers me.
So Edwina being able to finally see Kate and Antony's attraction to each other is part of her character growth, development, maturation, but the other reason I think she is finally able to see it requires me to return to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When Edwina is doing the haldi ceremony with Kate and Mary, she mentions how she hopes that Antony truly loves her.
Yet I still wish that when he looks at me, I could be certain that he truly loves me.
And she also says that he doesn't look at her enough.
I fear, in fact, that he does not look at me often enough.
This is not only a reference to the intense staring Antony and Kate do to each other, though I can definitely understand why some viewers would think about it in that way. At this point in the story, Antony and Edwina are engaged to be married. They may not be married yet, but the engagement is still able to fulfill those basic needs on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In Edwina's mind, whether consciously or subconsciously, she is presuming that she now has a guarantee of food, water, shelter, warmth, safety, and security guaranteed for not only herself, but also for Kate and Mary. This allows her to move up to the next level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is love and belonging. She now has the mental space to ponder love in a new way, and that desire to experience love and what she believes love should be like for her. Before this, love was something that she witnessed at home between her parents, since it's explicitly confirmed in the canon that Mary and Mr. Sharma loved each other. But Edwina has never really felt that type of romantic love herself, nor has she ever received it. She's finally able to think about this absence of romantic love and how Antony is not the person who can provide that to her, despite all of his previous declarations of being a good provider.
But I assure you that when it comes to action and duty, I shall never be found lacking.
Kate had previously tried to warn Edwina that Antony wasn't going to be able to provide her the love that she deserved, and that was true. But Edwina needed to be able to pursue that relationship herself and figure out that this was not the right fit for her. That's why episode 6 is titled The Choice, and even though I saw a lot of fans speculating online that this was going to be a reference to Antony having to make a choice between the two Sharma sisters, that was incorrect. It was Edwina who had to choose herself. Jumping ahead though to the final points that I just wanted to include for fun, one of Edwina's funniest moments all season.
Was I truly that blind?
Yo, it's not funny. It's really not funny.
I had to give that moment a shout out because I have rewatched it so many times. It makes me laugh even on a season rewatch. That's also a prime example of why when I was asked before the episodes were released which scene was the funniest, I had to answer that it's never just one scene in Bridgerton that stands out above the rest. It's a lot of smaller moments infused throughout.
Was I truly that blind? Were they always this obvious?
This scene is pretty serious. They're dealing with the social fallout of the non-wedding, but they still have this ridiculously funny moment included in the midst of all of that. Now you can probably see why I decided to just pull this point out and let it be its own video instead of trying to cram it into a video discussing Edwina's story across season 2. It will be easier to unpack the many layers and dimensions of Bridgerton season 2 if I section different talking points off into their own videos, so hopefully all of you don't mind me doing it in this format. Plus, it means that you will probably be getting Bridgerton videos popping up in my creative output for months. This is how we will all cope together with the dry spell between seasons. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so I know that you're interested in seeing even more videos about Bridgerton or just about romance fiction in general. I've had a lot of video ideas about fictional romances that I've just never prioritized making on my channel because I didn't think that I had the audience that would want to watch them. But if you want to know all of my other overly opinionated takes about romance fiction, I would be more than happy to share them. Stay tuned for more Bridgerton videos since I haven't even gotten into the topics that were being voted on in my community tab. So I will see you in the next one. Bye!